Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Forsaken Council TFC. We are looking at Season 2, Episode 43, News, Cruise and Blues. Big welcome to Mark, and unfortunately, Mark has lost his voice. Although,
I thought it was fortunate that you ran.
Well, I was going to say his wife is happy about it, but Mark not so much. Anyway, I'll be tonight. Joining me, we've got Tim using sign language, and Ren. How are you, Ren?
Hey, doing well. And you?
I'm doing well. George will be joining.
Mark, how are you doing? Poor guy, can't talk.
George will be joining us here in a minute. We've got a lot to go over tonight. There are a bunch of slides. We've got those up for us, Mark. Okay, Season 2, Episode 43, slide pack tonight. We've got Bounty Season 3, we've got Call to Arms TLC, we've got the Hunter Games TLC, we've got some FM changes, some bug fixes and tuning, and then we also have the results from our raid survey. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First off, Bounty is an event where players repeatedly smash each other bases and steal bounty. Points are awarded to spend on PvP tech. Players protect their winnings by climbing through a series of checkpoints each day. There are prizes available for everybody, but dedicated pirates who manage to rise through the ranks will claim the shiniest spoil. Okay, so there are some changes to this bounty versus 2.0. There were something that kicks change time in the slides. These are indicated by red text. So as per normal, season will run through from the 26th of October all the way through until the 30th. Again, bounty is optional. You have to opt to participate. Be very careful because unless they've changed, the opt-in button is right where another button is, and therefore it's very easy to opt in by accident. You join the hunt, you're awarded an initial seed bounty amount of unsecured bounty, upgrade to increase defenses. And in order to do that, it requires uranium, so you make sure that you upgrade, you fill up uranium before the bounty event starts. Go out and collect again. And those defenses for your OP are actually pretty good, so it's well worth doing that. By earning at least 2 stars and killing the outpost in a best hit against a player who's all opted into bounty. So again, 2 stars and the OP has to be killed. If the OP was damaged from a prior battle, then you're not going to win the bounty for that. The amount of bounty that you can steal is 40% of your opponent's unsecured bounty. So this is increased from the first 2 versions we had. I want to say it was 20% the first time, but that's been 40%, so that's the change. And there's no attack ante this time. In the past, if I went out and hit TSM and lose like I normally would, in the past I would lose bounty for a failed hit. This time you don't actually lose any bounty for a failed hit.
Which means you can do multiple preps at will without penalty. And there goes the neighborhood. Hello, George.
Yep. Hey, George, welcome. And so there are a couple of things that you want to be careful with that. As Ren said, prepping, you also want to be careful to make sure that your bubble pad is set. So you want to make sure that your bubble pad is set. That you don't go ahead and have issues and somebody hits you and then your bubble doesn't get set. Okay, moving on to the next one. Okay, participating players are indicated with a symbol next to their base. It's the diamond that sits there next to it. Clicking on any base with a bounty icon will show you how much bounty you can potentially earn from defeating that player. Now, big change from last time. This time it corrected the issue where the locator in the map was indicating a specific when you hit them, and if you didn't wear the that was originally shown. Unless a player has reached a checkpoint between the time that you click on the map and hit the base, you should now be awarded if you now be getting awarded the correct bounty amount. And the bounty
Yeah,
icon.
pretty much Kickstarter saying that's going to be the what you see is what you get bounty season. So the main complaint for those who participated in seasons 1 and 2, I think, especially 2, season 1 had other problems, but season 2 especially, is that the locator didn't really show you how much you got in the end, and so many times we hit bases and got nothing, right? So now they're saying what you see is what you get, unless as you're attacking, the player hits a check mark and the bounty gets stored. Secured, I think is the term.
Okay. I don't know. Am I still breaking up?
A little bit.
Okay. You want to run with it, Ren? And I'll refresh.
Okay. I'll run with it. I think nothing new here. I mean, use the locator to find bounty player targets. The main change, the grant time when you get bounty from the system is now every 6 hours instead of every 4. You have to log in, right? Because if you remember last time, people got confused thinking, oh, I can show up anytime. Yes, you can. You show up anytime and you get the current bounty drop, or grant as Kickstarter calls it. Just remember, if you miss 2 of them, the previous one's gone. So like you see down there, Pacific times, Pacific US Coast times, there's a drop at 10 a.m. If you don't log in until 4 p.m., and now it's past 4 p.m., the 10 a.m. drop is gone. Right, so just remember you have a long period to log in, but if you grab the 10 a.m. grant or drop, and then you're not there for 4 p.m., but you log in at 9:55 to be safe, then you still get your 4 p.m. drop, and then you wait 5 more minutes and you get your 10 p.m. drop.
Yeah, the one thing,
right? You cannot let 2 of them pass, otherwise the previous one's gone.
Yeah, it's not a grant period like everyone thought last time. It's a drop. So the drops at 10, at 4, at 10, at 4. And the thing is you can come in after 10, get that drop, and then 4 o'clock you get another drop. But then if you miss that 4 o'clock drop and then you log in at 10:01, you're gonna lose one of them. You don't get both of them.
Yeah, so I'm on the East time. So for ET time, for me, it's going to be a drop at 7 a.m., which is good because then I can have my breakfast and quickly log in, get my bounty. Then the next drop happens at 1 p.m. for me. And let's say I'm at work, I won't be there for that drop. But when I get home, let's say, I don't know, 5:30, 6, whatever, then I log in and the 1 p.m. drop will be waiting for me. Right? So I get it at that time. And so it goes. So being every 6 hours, I think, complies a lot better with people's schedule around sleeping and having a job. So even though I'm not deeply interested in bounty, gotta give kudos to Kickstarter for adjusting that in a way that's more convenient for the players.
Yeah, I think that will help.
What do you guys think? Is 6 hours better for you guys?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I kind of like the 4-hour one because you get a little bit more bounty, and then on top of it, with the would it go up to like 40% now that you grab instead of 20?
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps folks that are overseas that are not stuck in the 4 window, and like you said, people with jobs, a big difference.
Okay, so let's move on. There were changes in the checkpoints, so it's still the same concept. You hit a checkpoint and your bounty is secured. There are 4 normal checkpoints, and then the 5th one is the super duper hardcore checkpoint. Very hard to achieve, and on the road between checkpoints 4 and 5, there are some chests and drops and stuff that you can get. So if you are a hardcore Battle Pirates player and you can get you 10,000 bounty a day, It's actually rewarding. I mean, people are getting a lot of structured tokens in those chests, and some people, I know people in my lines who got a good advantage on their conquest yard just through less bounty, through a lot of tokens from less bounty. These are the checkpoints. So checkpoint 1 is just like last time. It's 1700 bounty, which means 2 drops and 1 map target. And you hit checkpoint 1 and that's safe. Now, checkpoints 2, 3, and 4, they've changed. They were 1700 as well. Now they are at 2000. So even if you weigh 2 grants and you have 1600, now you got to go out and hit 4 targets to get the extra 400 points. And I'm talking about the 96 that was paying 100, right? And you got to keep going like that. So then, like I said, you get to checkpoint number 4. And after that, when you hit 2,000, then 5,000, then 9,000, there are 3 chests with surprise prizes. And then at 10,000, you get the final checkpoint. Except for Sunday, seems to be different, right? The checkpoints on Sunday are crazy hard.
Yeah, I'm full that whatever chests are awarded there are really, really good.
Yeah. Remembering bounty, when you join bounty, immediately you lose your bubble if you have one. You cannot purchase a bubble during bounty if you've opted in, and the bubble durations go way down. So at 25%, you only get 2 hours instead of 12. At 50, you get only 3 hours. At 75, you get 4. Same when you get totally golf course, so you get just 4 hours. But repair is also cheaper if you decide to coin. Same ground rules. I don't think there's anything different here. You cannot attack members of your own alliance. Duh. If you attack somebody with less exposed bounty or somebody who hasn't opted in, you don't get anything. And you need a 2-star attack to gain bounty. Okay. Now, Rampage mentioned on his post that 2-star were obtained by doing 25% damage and getting OP. For the longest time, as far as I know, it's 50% and OP. Does anyone have confirmation they've changed the rules for bounty? Or was that a typo or a mistake by Rampage?
I think it was a typo. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because as far as I know, it's 50%, it's not 25. Anyways, a 2-star attack, which includes the outpost. That's the 2nd star. The normal bandit occupied bases or bobs, level 85 pays 50, level 96 pays 100, just like last time. And there's the jackpot targets, the 99s that will just pop up whenever, and they give crazy high payouts. So good luck with them. Let's move on. 2 conquerors, nothing new there. You can only repair conquerors in the conqueror queue, not defenders. So it's not an advantage for the base defender, but it's good for the attackers. Nothing new there too. And medals are not displayed in the leaderboard. Sorry, in your HUD. Win or lose medals as well. You can just check that on the medal leaderboard or in the battle log. And that's it. Once the seasons is over on Sunday, the PvP store opens and will remain open for a few days. And there are some prizes in there. The newest one being the King's Writ. The almost invincible whole, super overpowered new conqueror.
Yeah, we've got some slides for that later on in it. But one thing that I did want to put in here real quick is, if I don't know if people have noticed this, but there were prizes that were only 5,000 last time that have been bumped up to 10,000. So the Clipper missiles, all of those there that were 10,000, new ones used to be 5,000.
Yeah, they've doubled. You're right. I mean, the adder, strike turret, the caustic catalyst, they all doubled prices. Right?
Yeah,
You
but
have
they
the
do
Justice in there. You have some specials.
the Emancipators in there. That's something a lot of people are looking for, as well as specials for that.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest. To reach the Emancipator, if this bounty season is as dead as last one, because I opted in last time and I wasn't attacked even once. I was just scouted once. That's it. So it's pretty much was normal game for me. A couple times a day, I didn't make all the checkpoints, but a few times a day I would get the drop. And in the end, I think I had like 12,000 bounty. And I got some prizes, like for doing absolutely nothing. I think I hit one of those bobs here and there to get to 1,700. That was it. Kingsrick, George, you want to talk about that one?
Not really. I mean, it's a fantastic I win button, even though they said that they weren't going to have any I win button stuff. The thing is, I mean, on first glance, it looks very overpowered. It's unreactive, so you're not going to be able to get any stack stuff to slow it down. It can get very fast. I think, do we have the base speed on this? We don't. But I think it's on the next slide, and I think some people have gotten it up to the point where.
Hey, let's talk about attack and defense first.
Yeah, go back to that. Okay, yeah. Let's start that. So it's unreactive. It has deflection numbers through the roof, on top of splash damage reduction of 60%. I mean, those things are wow. And then, you know, we have the concussive damage of plus 225 on anything that you want to put on it. It has an automatic 100%.
And that's before you put any special.
That's before any specials or anything. I mean, that's 225 base off the hull before you add anything else. It's got an insane projectile speed before you add anything else. And anti-mortar accuracy and range, you know, 50 and 25 before you add any other special. And the only thing that I think that's actually
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a question. That anti-mortar stuff there threw me off a little bit, because this hull, look at the explosive deflection and radioactive deflection. Cat mortars won't tickle it.
Well, is
that in there just so it protects the other hulls?
I'm not sure, because the Epic Cat is doing some funky stuff against the twin blades, and I don't know if it's when it gets overload from you know, one of the specials on the OP, or if it's just something to do with the critical hit. It kills twin blades when it shouldn't. On paper, it shouldn't, right? And it's like wiping them out. So there might be some mechanic that we don't know about in the Epic Cat. And I think that's because that's the only thing that we were talking about, was doing some crazy Epic Cat builds to try and hurt this thing. That's the only thing I could come up with. And then, you know, you look at that anti-mortar range and anti-mortar accuracy, just, you know, native to the hull. And I think they know that. I think this thing's just, it's very, very, very well built to go and hit bases.
No, like you said, to me, that's the I win button.
Mm-hmm. It looks right now.
The Omega weapon. Yeah, I don't think the Omega weapon can hurt it properly.
I don't think so. Not with if you have
it's too fast.
Well, it's not only that, but if
it's too fast. It's too fast. It has a splash damage reduction of 60%.
Yep.
It has 18,000 deflection, and then you put siege battery to cut the incoming damage by 50%.
And you're already in the negative.
So I have a question for you. Another one. The outpost is not a turret. And somebody asked me that the other day, and I went like, huh, the outpost is not a turret, and that's why fire support stuff doesn't buff the Omega weapon. Or so I've been told.
Right.
So does siege battery counter fire incoming from that weapon if it's not a turret?
I don't know. It's a really good question. I have a feeling that it does, because it actually is a turret on top of the OP. The only problem is that since the OP isn't, you know, a base turret itself, I don't think that's why the fire supports work on it. It's a really odd mechanic thing. I haven't had an answer back. I did get an answer.
Neither.
I got an answer on whether or not the fire supports work, and the answer was no. It's not supposed to work on it.
But wouldn't that then become a case of like two different weights for the same situation? So fire support that helps the defender doesn't work, but siege battery that helps the attacker does. So either it's a turret or it's not a turret. I mean, it can not be a turret when it comes to fire support, but then it is a turret when it comes to siege battery.
Yeah, and I don't know why that is, because if you actually look at the Omega gun, it doesn't say anything about being a turret weapon. Right?
It's not, because you cannot equip it on a turret. That's my point.
It's just an OP thing. So
it's its own thing.
Yeah. So it should, like, logically it should not be cut in half because of the way everything else works, where nothing else applies to it. But you know, until we get an answer, I have no idea.
Yeah. All right. So then there's thermal, which is great.
Yeah, it's got more thermal than the Hunters.
85 is pretty good.
Well, it's got more thermal than the Hunters, which is weird, right? I mean, I don't know why this has more thermal than the Hunters. That's a skirmish hull, but
yeah. But I mean, from a base attacker perspective, I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, let's just put some subs in my base defense," and you know, the fangs not surfacing and all was a great strategy. But now in comes a hull that does concussive damage, does a lot of submerged damage, and has a thermal of 85.
Yep. And
I think that's exactly why it was put in.
Can the fangs even hurt this thing? I didn't even check that.
18,000 deflection? I don't think so.
Probably not. I mean, even with...
That's in the Dread Aura. The Dread Aura doesn't do anything against deflection, only against resistance, because it's a PvE hull.
And the thing is, even if you have the new glacial or whatever turrets that do the deflection reduction, even if you get that stacked up to 5, you're still not getting the deflection of this thing lowered enough to do damage with anything. I mean, it's just this thing, and it's only a 6.5 for a tier, which kind of is shocking.
That's scary, because then I don't want to see tier 7.
Yeah, no kidding.
Really, I mean, that's not a small jump from tier 6 to a 6.5. That, to me, I look at those numbers, is a full-blown tier 7. And if it's not, I don't want to see a tier 7, because it's just gonna go, of course, our bases like they're nothing.
I mean, it has a starting point of what, 65 for splash reduction, right? So with, let me see, I'm gonna actually check this because now I'm kind of curious. With 3 war plating 3s, what does that bring that up to, according to the game? Because we still don't know if it's additive or multiplicative. But
it's multiplicative.
89. Oh, so the additive thing isn't right. Okay, I'm glad we got an answer then. No. I didn't see them answer that yet. So
it's a resistance. It does not go past 100%, so you got to multiply.
Okay. So in game it says 89% with 3 plates on it.
Yeah, but it's just crazy. So it's very fast. It's splash resistant. It has a huge deflection. So really, I don't know what's going to hurt it. That's why my initial guess is we'll be seeing a very powerful concussive defender coming out soon, or a turret. I'm betting on a defender.
I'm hoping if it does, it doesn't come out in Bounty. I mean, I'm just saying, like, defender stuff, I still don't think should be in Bounty. It should be available to everybody because it affects your game in general.
Yeah, I think it's gonna, everything now is gonna come out in Bounty, and then a couple months later, just like the Courage, a couple months later, it's in Raid. I think that's the new way of things now. Here's in Bounty. Oh, you don't want to play? Fine, wait 2-3 months. Here's in Raid.
Yeah, just with speed system 6, to combat speed 76. Ouch.
Which, again, I mean, it has to get past the portals, right?
That's true.
Yep.
All right, you want to move on? Mortifier Cannon. Where does that go?
Justice, maybe?
Is it Justice? That's what I was thinking. We were talking about last night. Justice.
Okay, because it's the same weight. It's the same weight as the Penance Cannon. It's the same weight. It does more damage. Now, you know, I don't really think it does anything enough to hurt the King's Rate, because the King's Rate has a humongous ballistic deflection, so I don't get it. Does anyone see any use for that?
As of yet.
Sorry, Robin, say that again?
It's not as of yet. You know, there
No.
may be something else coming out. Not right now.
Yeah, but right now I don't see any use.
What is the King's Writ ballistic deflection? It's something like it's
35,000 or 75,000 is some stupid number.
Yeah, this isn't gonna go by. I mean, I got with high velocity rounds on a Justice, it's
110.
Oh, 110,000. So that cannon won't do anything against it. Forget it.
Not even.
Okay, let's move on. So that cannon may be good if people are trying to hurt twin blades more, but I don't think twin blades are a problem anymore. And here's the gun that goes on the King's Wraith, the Excalibur. Gatling gun, it has a wind up like most Gatling guns had initially. So the more it fires continuously, the faster it reloads. The reload bonus is 250% in 20 stacks. So if you divide that number by 20, you're gonna get 12.5% reload bonus every salvo it fires, right? So it's pretty fast.
Well, if you're going in a base, the thing's not going to stop firing probably. So it's,
I agree. Yeah, the things are hard to kill, so it has to just keep firing, keep firing, keep firing. And 11,000 damage. If you go in the stacked fleet of those guys, that's probably enough to drop turrets and portals and everything real fast. Because I can see somebody building 5 of these guys. What do you think? Can you?
You only have two of the threat.
Oh, you can only have 2. Okay.
Yeah,
so nobody's gonna have a fleet of 5.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the reload either. It's a real long reload time.
Well, the reload is going to change because of that wind up. I mean that, and I don't, without looking at the with the King.
Well, there's a special out there that gives you 30% faster reload. So you get the ship. If you get its cold, it's now 75%. If you've been stacking Conqueror VXP tokens from your outpost, that's not hard to do. So now you go from 10 to 2.5 second reload. And then you put a special that gives you another 30%. So now you're under 2 second reload. And then you have a wind up that's going to make that 250% faster. So you're going to be firing every 0.3 seconds, give or take, after it winds up.
Yeah, I mean you got on the King's Writ, you got a native. Is there a native on there, or is it just 30% on the special?
The special gives 30%. I don't know what the hull does. I didn't memorize that.
The hull doesn't. I just checked. It doesn't. I was gonna say if you had both of those, I mean, holy crap.
Yeah, the thing is that it does just over 2,000 damage per salvo. So it's not high. And if your defenders have a decent concussive deflection, like anything over 2,000. Oh no, never mind, because there's a 225% damage bonus from the ship. Never mind. It's actually monster. Before any specials, you're actually turning that 11,000 into like 30-something thousand damage.
Yeah. So with just the special, I think, and fully ranked, I think it's 1.75 for a reload time. That's without the wind up. That's right. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I'm just doing the quick math here. So 225%, the special gives 50, so that's 275%. It's almost 3 times on top of the base. So it's probably going to get close to 40,000 damage in there. Divide by 5, and you have about 8,000 per projectile being fired from each weapon. 8,000 from each projectile. It's huge.
Yeah, let me see. That new special does what? Critical damage?
There's that too. I don't know if that special can be used on Conquerors, but if it can.
It's just for Conquerors. The vulcanized barrels is just for Conquerors.
Oh, this one, yes. So yeah, plus that critical. Oh my God, that's insane.
I'm just saying, like this is a. I thought we were going away from the I win button hulls,
No.
and here it is. I mean, on paper anyway. Like I said, I don't know until we start seeing.
Yeah, the big boys are gonna get it. I mean, you know, the big boys will join the bounty and get the two of them and build the whole thing. And they're gonna be just smashing bases, which is what the top players want, to be honest. But again, it's the problem of kick size. Going to probably make the big ones happy because they've all been complaining, rightfully so, that right now base hitting is dead because the bases are too strong. But it's just a very hard pendulum swing where the two of these guys will just wreak havoc, and I don't see bases hurting them much.
I think one of them will, and if you add in some of the other hulls that, you know, buff even more its deflection stuff, I mean, this thing's going to be a pain in the butt to even dent, let alone kill.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Call to Arms TLC is back. Both of them, actually, both for Icebreaker and Monolith. The targets are different in the price packs. I have videos for both of them up on the page. There's many people did videos with all their different techniques. So if you don't remember, if you're a player who wants the tokens or wants the ships, so you can do FM. I think we're clearly at a point where Citadels and Punishers are not cutting it anymore at all.
That's a shame.
So yeah, you need the Icebreakers or you need the Zalos tank with the Monoliths. And here's a bunch of tokens and the components, and especially that mortar in price pack 1, it transforms the fleet. I mean, so much better than any other mortars we could be using.
Yep.
That's my opinion, at least.
And I'll say this too: if anyone's not like, even if you've done this and you have all the stuff built, get the bloody tokens, because I don't know how they're changing that 113 to the 115. I just know that not getting any information this long with this many people asking is not generally a good sign. So I'm getting ready to refit everything.
Here's the thing. I mean, if you have the mortar, the D85D, and you have the right specials, and you have the charged armor, there is nothing else you can put on your ships. At most, you can build a second fleet. But really, how can you make it better?
Well,
you can tweak specials here and there, more splash, less splash, more resistance. It's tweaks. It's not really.
Well, we also had those other new tech that came in the tech up, and I have a feeling that some of that stuff might actually be taken into account in these new targets. Wherein, they're not going to be. They might not be. Yeah.
Speed 6. Yeah, you're right.
The turrets might be harder to kill, or they might shuffle around where everything is. So we're going to need that new sprint countermeasure. I mean, I can come up with a lot of nasty things to change those targets where you'll either need one or the other completely redone, which is really crap, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think it's a matter of, like you said, it's tweaking specials, because as far as weapons, ships, and armors, it is what it is. I mean, it's the charged armor X and M, it's these mortars or the rockets that we've had for many months. So it's just, but get the tokens. George is right. Just get the freaking tokens, and as much as you can. I still don't think the Gridiron Monolith is a must-have. I think people with the Zelos tank will do just fine.
See, and the only catch with that is, I was thinking about that today, the only catch with that is, what I've found with the Gridiron is that it does better in targets that actually make you take the cold snap damage. Because when the Zealous actually loses that duality and all the little buffs that come with it, the 5% additional accuracy and all that stuff, it does worse than the Gridiron in those targets. So like, if I have a target where I know I'm going to be eating some cold snaps, right, the Gridiron's the one that goes out instead of the Zealous. Now, I don't have tridents on my Zealous because I never went that route, but the thing is I just have a feeling that this might be tweaked to the point where you might actually have to use the Gridiron over the Zealous.
And if you don't want to, here's my pro tip. Make your Zealous fast. You can outrun most of the splash damage from the cold snaps. You know.
But then you might run into that rocket turret or the scatter.
Yeah, you gotta drive well. I mean, the faster you make your ships, the better you have to drive, and the less lag you can tolerate.
Absolutely.
Right? But the solution is pretty much make it faster. Okay, so call to arms, it's already up as far as I know. Do it yet. And here's call to arms icebreaker, where you can get a truckload of tokens and the specials and the rockets you need. My only recommendation is the Siege rocket rocket S. Use the V. It's so much better.
Yeah, and it makes it more fun to drive too. Those things rock with that.
And you combine the V rocket with Speed System 6 with the auras of the icebreakers, making them faster. They just fly through the targets. It's amazing how fast they move.
Yep.
Yeah, and a big thing with this one is the charged armor. Again, even if you've done it, if you're short on the, it's the X armor that's in there or the M.
This time is the M. So they did. It gave the X armor 2 times, and now it's giving the M armor. Right.
Yep. So another
if people
place
don't have X armors in stock. Sorry to say, but they're kind of screwed.
Yeah, but if you do already have the fleet, you're able to get through the TFC relatively easy. It doesn't hurt to run through it.
Yeah. And there's multiple things. I mean, maybe you say, I have my FM fleet, I don't care. But hey, does your Skyfire fleet have M armor? Because you can use it. Or your Phoenix fleet. So,
Yeah.
Okay, Hunter
One thing,
games.
actually, before we actually move on, can you pop back one thing, Mark? I'm sorry. I just wanted to point out that that expanded fulmination payload, generally, I haven't really seen many builds use that because you don't need that rocket reload when these things get ranked. So if you can get these things ranked, most people have been using something else in that slot for that special.
Yeah, no, people really, you don't need to use the dildo. I mean, if you want to, use your choice, but you don't need that.
So yeah, it's an optional. I mean, there's a couple of builds. We'll probably have some updated builds. I think someone asked the other day, and I threw one up real quick on the page. But
did you throw up on the page?
Yeah, I threw up all over the page, man. But yeah, there's hopefully you guys can get through this. I mean, if you don't have either the icebreaker or the monolith, try and get through as much of these as you can. Seriously.
Yes. And again, I mean, I've been telling that since it was offered the first time, I think it was in July. If you cannot do pack 4, but if you could, because packs 1 and 2 are really easy. If you can keep doing packs 1 and 2 every time it pops up, you end up with a fleet. Because you can get those 1-day tokens ×5 and ×3 on packs 1 and 2, you get it once, twice, 3, 4 times. All of a sudden, you find yourself with a fleet of 4 just waiting for the flagship. And at that point, you can probably complete packs 3 and 4 without the flagship to get the flagship.
Yep. And if you got tokens and you're building some of the monoliths too, I mean, you can build off of each other to get there. Again, it goes back to the having 2 fleets again, but we won't go there right now.
Hunter Games is back. I'm happy about that because I'm really looking forward to the tokens.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because I don't think there's tokens for regular hunters.
No, I want for the Apex because I'm building the
okay.
naked hull and it was like 14 days and I still have 8 days to go on the naked hull for the flagship.
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking for those tokens.
I was really hoping for some regular hunter tokens so I could finish.
I'm hoping revise mean that people are able to get further in it too.
Yeah, that's not usually what revised means.
Oh, they've done it on a couple.
Yeah, so let's take a look. So the Hunter, I don't think we need to read the specs, but it is a good rate fleet. I mean, people were asking me a question, and they asked that same thing on the page, and we had a good discussion. So if I can only get the Hunter, which is spec 1, but not the weapon and not the special, is it still worth it? And my answer is yes, because you build a fleet of them, they're going to do better than Tide Seekers. You put the same weapons and specials you would on a Tide Seeker, but just they'll do better in 2 ways. First of all, they'll be more resistant, they'll take less damage. Second of all, they are reactive. And third, their repair time is a lot lower. So even if you're going to build it with Garwoods and advanced concussive payload, it is still better than Tide Seekers. Would you agree, George?
Are we talking about regular, just plain Tide Seekers, or Tide Seekers with the flag?
Just like a fleet of, would you build a fleet of Tide Seekers with the flag, or would you build 4 Hunters?
Oh, I would. If I had neither, I would be building the Hunters, just because I know going forward I can get the stuff that I need for them.
Exactly, and I mean 4 Hunters with no armor or with charged armor. 4 Hunters at normal time repair in 12 hours. 12 hours is the time you get to repair the Tide Seeker flag, and 1 Tide Seeker take 12 hours. A full fleet of Tide Seekers at normal time takes over 20 or about 20 hours to repair.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine. I'm looking at mine right now. Just the flag, that's 740.
The flag's 8 hours or so.
Yeah, it's
depends what armor you put on it.
I got 740 on the flag, and then I got 348 on just 1 Tide Seeker. So that's 10, 11. That's 11 hours just for 2 ships. Yeah. Whereas, you know, the Hunters are, 3 apart.
3 hours each.
Yeah.
Which in raid time is half of that for everything. But still, I mean, I'm still telling people, build the Hunters. Build the Hunters because there are tokens to build. There are tokens for VXP. There are tokens in raid for sale in raid for raid points. Build the Hunters. If you don't have the Fang Teeth, I mean, if you have a Fang Teeth fleet, then you can go with that.
Yeah.
Again, if you didn't get the armor in the raid, this may also be another opportunity.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, right? I mean, you could get the Hunter now and maybe the weapon and wait to get the special during raid.
Yeah.
For points.
Yep.
New repair specialists. So if you are concerned about repair times, and depending on what you're using to do your FM, just pick the right ones. Now, isn't that a nice research time? 30 days to unlock the Monolith or the Icebreaker specialist. That's so cute. If
you think that's cute, okay. I have an alligator to sell you.
I'm being sarcastic. Here's the thing. You know what's happening? And I don't know if I'm the exception or the norm here, but I started the Apex Hunter naked build, 14 days. I started equipping Cannibal Wendigo on a turret with base parts. After base parts are gone, still like 15, 16 days. Then I started an upgrade on something. No, I'm building my Conquest shipyard, and I still have like 16 days. Timers, it's like 14 days, 15 days, 16 days. In the meantime, I don't need resources. I don't need any. I mean, the only reason I'm logging in daily, honestly, is to start another turret retrofit on my retro lab and collect uranium, and done. To hit bases. I mean, my newest base hitter is a fleet of Prides and a fleet of Mudgluts. So really, with those very long build and research times, I have nothing to do.
I'm still kind of curious why they're bumping all these times up. Like the turrets are 8 days. The research is 30 days, where originally it was 4 minutes. I mean, a lot of this stuff is I don't know. It's really frustrating because
I don't get it.
Like there's no, I can't understand the theory behind it. If you wanted someone to coin, you want to do it where it's like 1 or 2 days extra after you apply like base parts or something, or your tokens or whatever. And then, yeah, you know, someone might coin an extra day or two. No one's going to coin, you know, 30 freaking days.
16 days.
Yeah. I mean, I can't follow what it is. And I mean, I know that with the base stuff, they're trying to get it so it's kind of stringing along and stuff, but you know, that doesn't help when there's other players that are getting this stuff inside of an hour. You know, I'm just saying, it gets even more frustrating for a regular player that's, you know, being legit.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I mean, the game dynamic now for me is really weird because on one end we have non-stop raids. It's the XP weekend, it's raid, it's bounty, and now it's raid again after bounty. And FM consuming more time, and getting titanium consumes more time because the 91s I used to auto are gone, and so on and so forth. I mean, everything now takes more time, and it's always event. But then on the other hand, I win out that crap, and it all takes forever to build, so I don't get to use it.
Yep.
And like you said, I'm not going to coin 16 days. I would coin a day, maybe 2, but I'm not going to coin 16 days.
Right, and that's the part that I just don't understand. You know, some of the stuff that
they're giving me less and less reason to log in daily.
Well, you're gonna have to come in and do your twice as long FM soon.
Yeah, right. Okay, new FM price. So they delayed the dreaded FM update. And again, kudos to everyone in the community who made their voices loud and clear through Kickstarter forum, tickets, TFC, and other pages. You know, I think your article, George, and people reaching out to Kickstarter designers and so on, they made it a lot less worse. I mean, maybe almost cool. Initially, get 9 days of tokens on tier 5. I mean, you're losing structured tokens and research tokens still, but and it's still going to take more to do it. But yeah,
I don't know that I'm going to hold my breath about the tokens thing. I mean, my biggest concerns still are the 88 for the lower level players, and then the engagement time that we're going to have to do. I mean, you know, I understand everyone's really upset about the 115, but I have, you know, as before, I think that we're going to figure that one out, and that's not going to be that big of a deal for the players that are already doing the 113. But the 88 really does have me a little concerned still, and the time engagement is a little disconcerting still, because, you know, we need titanium, a bunch of titanium now if we want to do the PvP stuff, and that's time consuming. I mean, there's just so many chores, so I'm kind of iffy still.
Well,
but the community
base parts are very time consuming. But I think we have. Let's just finish. Sorry for cutting you off, George. But going back, let's look at the new price. It's just one price this week in tier 5, so you get both tokens in tier 4, both tokens in tier 3, both runs. I mean, and we're gonna get tier 5 tokens once.
Yeah.
And then you get this turret special that defends you against both. Can we go back, Mark?
Radioactive. Please? Yeah, it was radioactive and
ballistic and radioactive, which is funny because we're getting a hull that does concussive.
Yep.
So I don't know. Right, we got one that did penetrating, the twin blade, and one that does concussive, and we're getting something for ballistic and radioactive. So I guess something's going to be coming from that side of the house doing that kind of damage in the near future. I can only guess. Right, so let's move on.
Yeah, or it's a filler. You know.
Yeah. Okay, so FM changes next week. We discussed that, I think, ad nauseum already. I don't want to go through cover everything again. But it's going to be a store format. You pick whatever you want. The prices on tiers will have different prices. So it's not, you know, there's stuff in tier 5 that's 200 points and stuff that's 1.2 million points. The top target is worth 245,000. So we did some math, and if you need one of the expensive prizes and the token, you're going to need on tier 5 alone 2.4 million points. you know, so I still don't like that it opens the venue for Kicksai in the future to start inserting prizes in tier 5 that will cost 3 million points if they feel like it.
I was about to say that there's no guarantee, and I kind of mentioned this somewhere else, and I don't remember if it's public.
And there is a trust deficit with Kicksai, right? We always expect the worst from them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, right now that's what it is. I think about 15 targets, and we will have how do you say? We'll have a fandom. Okay, they listen to players more or less, or mostly, I should say, and I'm overall pleased with that change. So they brought uranium back to FM. It's going to be a variable amount. So worst case, you're going to be getting 16,000 uranium. Best case, you're going to be getting 60-something uranium from FM, which is, again, for players who don't play much or just ramping up in the game, it actually goes a long way having some uranium. You don't need much.
Yeah. I'm glad they did this for some of the lower players. I mean, like I said, first off, I wanted to actually add into, I'm really glad a lot of the people showed support and like there was no arguing within the community about the changes, because it really was not a good change for the players. And I wouldn't, and you know, like Ren said, the tickets, the posting on the forums, posting on the pages, if you guys aren't happy when you look through this and look at it and think about things, keep on saying stuff. I mean, if it's really not where you want it to be, keep on saying stuff, because like Ren said, we have no hard cap for top end costs on any of the on the tiers. I mean, they could throw anything until they could throw something crazy into tier 2. And the problem is if it's only one item, but it's a very high amount, you're blocked from tokens until you claim that one item.
Yeah, I mean, logically, I would think that the tiers 1 to 4 do have a price cap, because the moment an item there costs more than a tier 5 item, it should be moved up the tier, right?
Right.
In theory, but tier 5 doesn't have a cap.
Right. Now, but see, now you're using logic, and you know.
Well.
So,
but anyways, yeah. So now they have a chest. I mean, Kicksai somebody that really likes random prizes, and I don't.
Well, the thing is, you can kind of tune that too, right? Like if you don't want to have too many 9 days getting doled out, you tune that down, and the 3 days tuned up, and you know.
Yeah, and Rampage indicated that the 9-day token combo will be very rare. I don't know the definition of very rare, but it's going to be very rare. So
yeah, I don't like.
I'd expect most weeks to be getting the 3 days, and you know, maybe once a month I'll be getting the 5, and once in a blue moon the 9.
Which really doesn't allay the concerns that we had about the tokens in the first place. Then.
Yeah, it gives us the impression they did something without actually doing much.
That's why I've said I'm withholding judgment until I see how everything rolls out. I'm just not. The main concerns that I had have not been addressed. So
yeah, and once it starts, I'm just letting people know I'll have a poll next week on the page, just for people to check which prize they got, like in tier 5. Did they get the 3-day, the 5-day, the 9? I just want to see the distribution of people getting what. That
would be interesting.
Yeah. Right, and I think we could be running that for a few weeks just to see what's the trend.
Yep.
So important, very, very important. I don't know if we have a slide about that, but I wanted to say that here.
Yep, it's next.
Okay. Oh, there, that one. Yes. Thank you, Ru. Do you want to talk about it, Ru, if your mic's better?
Am I coming through clear?
So far.
Well, basically, Chris gave us information on the drops for the tokens. It's not one chunking 9-day token, it's a combination of tokens thereof. And if you do happen to get the 9-day worth of tokens, you would actually cap out all of the limit of your generic ship build tokens. And this is very important, because if you get the 2-day token in pool 4 and then you get in pool 5 and you don't use that token in pool 4, if you are lucky enough and you win the lotto and you get all of those tokens, you're actually going to wipe out one of those tokens. So token tokens have not been increased, management is extremely important. You want to make sure that you don't open chests where you potentially could get a whole bunch if you haven't used the ones before.
Yeah. So if you open up your pool 4 chest and you get that 2-day token, and you have a pool 5 chest, don't open it yet, because if you get a 2 and 2, you're losing one of those 2-day tokens. It's not getting increased to 3.
Exactly. So now, and the other aspect of the chests is you cannot stack them. They are a special type of chest.
Correct.
So I don't know the name they're going to give, but I'm going to call it the T4 FM chest. You can only have one stacked. So let's say last week you did FM, you have the chest you didn't open. Now you're going to do FM again, and remember the new FM model, you're going to have to go there and redeem the prize. It's a store. So you will not be able to redeem another T4 FM chest if you have one in stock. You got to go, open it. Now you can go and redeem the next one. So that's how it works. Okay, and like Ru and George said, you should never open a T5 chest before you use the token from the T4 chest, because you may just throw a 2-day token down the drain. Good news is, because it's not automatically granting you the prizes anymore, you actually have to be proactively stupid to waste a token. Right? I mean, it's 3 steps of stupidity.
Like 10 days, got my 10 days tokens.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just set up my refit and thought, okay, got to reset my reset my weekly, and I forgot to use tokens and went out and did all my runs and then went, oh.
Okay, so again, I mean, and when I say proactively stupid, I'm using strong words because it's true. I mean, you have to go, redeem the tier 4 chest, open it. So 2 actions. Now you gotta go, redeem the T5 chest. And if you redeem the T5 chest, that's not a problem. The problem is now if you go and open the T5 chest before using the token from the T4 chest you opened.
You lose it.
So here's a way you could go around that without being stupid. You win both are unopened. Open the T5 chest first.
Right.
If you get a 2+1, you can, or a 2+7, you can safely open the tier 4 chest. But if you get a 2+2, then you cannot.
Now the question is, of course, you know, are they going to actually put this in a game so people are aware of it in game, or are they, you know, going to be unlucky unless they watch our show or watch one of the shows?
Yeah. I mean no, that's barely communicated on forums, usually never communicated in game. I mean, Battle Pirates is known for not having tutorials or pop-ups or explanations of things in game. So you gotta read the message above game, go to forum, watch a show, or just learn the hard way. Let's move on then. Okay, new feature. So a lot of people are aware that if you already have both shipyards and both are idle, and you start a refit on a Conqueror hull, it was by default going to your original shipyard, right? So now that has been fixed. And if you wanted to go to the Conquest yard, you got to click the button Conquest Refit. Okay, and that will keep your original shipyard free. I mean, I don't know anybody who keeps it free, but anyways, now you can direct where you want to refit your Conqueror hull.
Yep. I mean, it's a good workaround. It's not the best workaround, but it's a good workaround. I mean, if we were coining like Mark and we had our shipyard empty all the time, you know, that might be a thing. But
yeah, that's right.
It's still a good good workaround. This one actually is kind of like the AI is organic enough where you can actually follow it around.
And now there was an issue I was not aware. but apparently the Omega Gatling gun was not firing in some scenarios, and they were able to identify, reproduce the scenario, and fix the problem. It never happened to me, so I wasn't even personally aware of the bug.
Yep.
Ru, do you want to go through that? Because I didn't even see the questions, to be honest.
Is there a mic?
The question is on the slide itself.
Yeah. So do you want me to run through the raid survey results because your mic's still messed up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So these are the raid survey results from the stuff that we had on the TFC page. And some of these are kind of interesting. We have, so the first one's, did you participate in the October Crest of Steel questionnaire raid event? Which, you know, the Crest of Steel, did you participate in the raid? And we had 344 yes and 8 no, which is actually really interesting in and of itself. But it kind of would follow, if you're on the TFC page, you're probably participating in the game. So the next one is, did you participate until you reached your intended point target amount? Now this one's actually really interesting because the points, while not as bad as previous raids, was still really high, but we actually got a good result here. It's actually, I'm a little surprised by it. We have 250 yes, they reached their intended point amount and they participated until then, and we had 99 no. So not too bad, not too shabby. The next one is, how many hours did you dedicate to actually get the points that you needed? This one's kind of depressing. I mean, this one's actually really depressing. We had only 15 people played 2 hours or less, 10, 4 hours or less, 23, 6 hours or less, 36, 8 hours or less, and then a whopping 258 over 10 hours. That's a lot of
Not
time
a game, it was a
to
drop.
play. Yeah, it was. It's a lot of time that you're asking a huge time investment of your players. I mean, really, damn. And even still, with that many people answering 10 hours or more, we still had what, like about 20 something percent that didn't get to the points that they needed or wanted, which is even more depressing. But anyway, next one, Mark. Did you enjoy the Caress of Steel raid event? We're getting to it. 214 yes, 138 no. So we're, you know, that's more than, let me see, yeah, it's about a third that said no. 33%, something like that. I can't do math over live.
Did you enjoy raid?
You know what? Actually, I did, because I got the 1 gold blitz thing, and I actually had a job that I was doing a mower rebuild on an engine that paid for my raid. So I was like, yeah, cool. I did my raid real quick. The amount of time
I liked it.
Yeah, the amount of time that I put into it, because I could actually blitz part of it and then play part of it, made it actually enjoyable, which means that I literally had to pay to not play so I could play just enough where it would still stay enjoyable. That's a bad sign.
I really hope they keep the 1 coin blitz available.
Me too.
Because remember, it's not automatically 1 coin for everyone. You've got to be able to do the target well once for less than 30-minute damage to your fleet, so you get the 1 coin.
Yep. So let's see, ranks of the fleets that you used. 195 sculled, 86, 66 or around there. 33,
yeah, I mean that
24 or less. Yeah, I mean, this kind of makes sense because it kind of follows with what we saw with the people, the amount of time that they had to spend in the raid too. So, you know.
Yeah, I just honestly, I'm so tired of the XP weekends.
Mm-hmm.
I used to coin to get my ships called and whatnot. Now I hit it once, repair. This one now was good because I could actually hit multiple targets without taking damage on the Fang Teeth.
Yep.
So it was okay.
And you could prep.
But really, I'm not coining the XP weekend at all.
Yeah, it's. I mean, again, it goes back to how many chores and how much stuff, and what are you asking your players?
How much fun you're having. I mean, why am I gonna coin the XP on a fleet that's going to be used for me to do a mind-numbing chore called raid?
Why am I going to coin to not play the game? I mean, that alone annoys the hell out of me. The fact that I I enjoyed the raid because I could afford to blitz at this time, that's a horrendous sign for a game. But anyway, next one was, what level of target were you most?
And sorry, George.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Just on your point, I just want to mention that Stu used to be on this panel here.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't play the game anymore. And the few months before he gave up on the game is when he started blitzing his raid, just coining the raid so he didn't have to play the raid.
Yeah.
He did that for 2-3 months. At some point, he just said, why the fuck am I doing that? And quit the game. Yeah. Liam was the same story. I mean, he started blitzing raid, and he barely logs in the game. Right?
Yeah, because
so when people start paying the raid, paying the blitz target just to get rid of it, in some cases it means, oh, they want to go do PvP instead. But actually, more often than not, it just means people are just freaking tired.
Yeah. No, it's and it goes back to how many points. I mean, you know, I think I brought this up really bad a couple of raids ago, and it was just like I got on and it was like, holy crap, I got to get so many points for the stuff that I want. I don't want to do this. I don't. It's not fun. And 10 hours, I mean, that's a lot of. Anyway, and look, and even with all those people that said 10 hours, this one's going to be really interesting. What level of target were you most hitting to achieve your point target amount? Now, look, most everybody that got points was in the 10-hour or more playtime, and 92 hit tier 7 both. Another 66, the Fangtooth Depths, another 22, Hunter's Bay. If you add all of those up, that's going to be what? 90, 110, 104, 170? 170 out of this entire thing. 180? Okay. See, math live sucks. 180 out of this whole screen. We're doing the tier 7 targets and still putting in 10 or more hours of playtime for a damn raid. It's a game. What the hell? And then we have 50 people did tier 6 because, you know, that takes way too much time if you wanted to get.
Oh, yeah, 25 minutes to complete that for 3.7 million.
I mean, that's ridiculous. And we got, look, 26 people blitzed day 89. To add that into everything else, I mean, this is just these numbers. Like, I hope they actually look at this one, because this in conjunction with that 10-hour thing.
And they have their own numbers, right? That's just our own small sample, but they have their own numbers. They know that.
They have their own numbers, but I don't think they actually look at this side of it. I think theirs is more business oriented in terms of what they want to look at and consider a success, right? Because I'm looking at these numbers, and while the raid was better than most that we've had recently, I still don't think it was like a successful raid, because I mean, you had everybody wanting to blitz to get the targets out of the way so they could actually enjoy a little bit of raid and then do something else. I mean,
the other thing is if this is over 10 hours now in the first raid for just the little points that we needed, what we're going to be looking at for the final raid when we need 1 million points.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks for ruining
and
my
I mean, you do the math, 10 hours over a normal raid, that's about 3 hours a day, 2.5 hours a day.
Right.
Right? And I mean, that's for 10 hours, but people, it's over 10 hours is the option. So it might have been 15, I don't know.
There was probably more. I mean, I know a lot of people have put a lot of time into the raid. And I mean, even if you go at 2.5 hours over a 6-day raid, is do the math, Ryan. I can't do that.
Targets, the thing is, over the past year, the targets have just been growing and growing and growing. And the last raid where we could do quick targets for good points was the Siege raid. The Cannoneers could just blast through tier 6, 7, whatever the top tier was at the time, the 100s, in 3 minutes. 3 minutes, boom, done.
Well, and you know, the thing is that not only are the targets getting bigger, but you know, our point requirements are getting larger as well. So the combination is horrendous. I mean, on a 6-day raid at 2.5 hours a day, that's a minimum of 15 hours. If that would get you all the points that you need. And I think Rue is onto something. That last raid is going to be a lot worse than what we're typically dealing with, because now we have to also have, you know, all the bounty stuff available somewhere, and it's probably going to be in that raid. So you're going to have to, if you can't do bounty, or if you don't do well in bounty and you want to catch up, not only is this the final raid going to be, oh, my next raid meta hull and special and weapon, and then you have to play catch up on anything else that you missed out of bounty, and then catch up on anything else that you want, including charged armors or whatever the hell's coming out. I mean, wow, the list is getting big. The list is getting very, very big. So I'm not sure what they are expecting of the players, but anyway. So if you were hitting tier 7 elite targets, what fleets were you using? Full Fang fleet and partial Fang fleet are the majority here easily, and that makes sense because it was actually a really good fleet this raid. Full Hunter fleet, partial Hunter fleet was 29, and the combination was 16. It was really interesting because the Hunter actually, if you had the full fleet, performed very well last raid in its intended target. I hope it does as well, if not better, this month, but we'll see. Were the tier 7 targets considerably harder than you expected? We had, this was actually closer than I thought. 161 said no, and 113 said yes. I was actually pleasantly surprised by the targets. I think they tuned them very well for the intended hulls, and I'm actually really glad that you could do the Hunter one with the Fangtooth, because that was, you know, the skill hull, and if you could drive skillfully and get through that the Hunter Bay one, I mean, I can understand it. I mean, and it did hurt. If you messed up in Hunter Bay with the Fangs, you were going to get a lot of damage, a lot more than if you had messed up in the Fangtooth one. So that seemed like a good trade-off. Were the non-elite targets considerably harder than you expected? This is kind of depressing. Yes is 151, and 145 was no, which tells me that those things probably were not tuned very well for a first raid set.
And I think what affected the answer here, it's again, in terms of harder, I don't think they were harder as in they were dishing too much damage. I think they were harder as in, oh my God, how long does it take to complete them?
That might be part of it too, yeah. I mean, I think
it is.
An A set, what did you say? The A set took 20-something minutes?
25 minutes.
Just
very long time.
One run through should not take on an A set 25 minutes. That's insane.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, somebody with Fangs, because the Fangtooth target in the elite with careful driving, you could do that with, you didn't need a full fleet. A partial Fang fleet with a decent rank, not necessarily Skull, not necessarily with the flagship, could complete the Fangtooth elite target. And in way less than 25 minutes. Way less.
Yeah.
And for 4 million points. So, you know, pretty much if you had 3+ subs, half ranked, you know, even without armor, you could take your chances on the elite target and be scoring 4 million points every 10, 20 minutes. 20 minutes if you had just a few subs.
Yep.
And instead of doing tier 6. So I really didn't see a reason for tier 6 at all. I mean, they could just say, yeah, you know what, let's do away with tier 6.
And, you know, here's actually a really good segue to your point here. Of the non-tier 7 targets, Fangs were used 179 out of the total here. I mean, that's and they still, I mean, they still took that long, and it paid that little compared to the tier 7. Yikes. I mean, I'm glad to see the Tideseeker in there. That tells me that it was an option for people that didn't have the top tier hulls. But
oh yeah, for T5 was great.
Yeah, but damn, 25 minutes.
Even for the 89, I mean, the 89 after kicks, I made it easier on Sunday, I think. My 3 tides, I don't even have a full fleet. It's the Hardlock tide and 2 tides. They were doing the 89.
Yeah, and something to note, a lot of people were having issues with their Hell Wraiths and Fire Twisters, and so hopefully people are refitting to the Sharon so that they'll track the target as opposed to miss them. And I know that caught a lot of people out as well.
Yeah, and that really shouldn't have been an issue at all, because honestly, that's what's supposed to go with the Hell Wraiths. I mean, I'm kind of shocked that I see Tiger Shocks on there, but I'm looking at the Tideseeker and the Hell Wraiths. Man, only 12 Hell Wraiths. That's yikes.
Yeah, Hell Wraiths were a pain to drive, and you know, like I think the weapons they have were really not suited for the new raid style.
Which is bad, because that should be the number 3rd slot hull. But anyway, okay. Did you blitz any targets during the raid? 227 didn't blitz any. 106 blitzed partial points, and 7 blitzed all points. I'm actually I'm not surprised at that 106. What was that, Rue?
I was saying TSM and 6 of his good friends.
Yeah, yep.
Well, Liam, I think Liam blitzed his points.
Yeah.
Not sure, but I think so.
I'll admit that I was in the blitz partial points. It's the first time I blitzed in a raid, and you know that 1 gold was like, it's the 1 gold. You know, blow 100 gold, get a bunch of points, and then go do something else that isn't
I think correct me if I'm wrong, but for 100 gold you could get 80 million points, which is significant amount of points.
Yep.
The only concern that I have with this is if Kix is going to continue to do it, because if that was a one-time thing and people are waiting for that next time and it doesn't happen, don't box yourself into where you don't have time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But on the other hand, like that's what the blitz was supposed to be about in the first place. The fact that people are actually really liking it should tell them a whole lot about the raid itself. Like, you guys have crossed the line of enjoyable play way back, way back. Like, we should be at like 60 to 100 million points tops for everything that we want in the raid. That's where it should be, not at 400 and something million. That's ridiculous.
Okay, so I think we're done with the slides because I see TSM's beautiful primate face.
His mug. Yep. Sorry.
And now TSM's going to read some poetry for us now.
Uh-oh. Okay, I'm out of here. No. Is his mic totally shot?
No, he
has no voice.
Oh, he has no voice? Well, throat damage and yeah, we won't go there. Anyway.
His wife is happy.
I don't know.
It seems he was affected by some black Hulk.
Yeah. I don't know how his throat would get damaged from his wife, but
It's called strap-on.
All right, you went there.
You just dropped the ball in front of the goal, no goalkeeper.
Oh,
I had to take the shot.
I'm just not.
Am I clear now, or am I still scratchy?
You're much better than before.
Yes.
Well, apologies. Yeah, apologies for the technical difficulties, but thank you guys for stepping in and helping out. And that's all that we have for today. So we've got the next open mic is on Saturday. Andrew is working on a spreadsheet for the redemption of the prizes in the weekly. So look for that coming out before next week. Does anybody else have anything else?
No. Yeah. Well, no. The only thing that I would like people to just pay attention to is pay attention to what's going on with the FM stuff, what's actually still changing, where it is, and fill out the stuff. Like, if friend's going to put up a questionnaire or not a questionnaire, a survey, like, fill them out. That way, the more information we have and the more vociferous the community is back towards Kixeye, it makes a difference. It really does. Like, at the end of last week, they were not going to change the FM. It was more or less set in stone. They weren't going to change anything. And then after the weekend, when all the stuff that happened and all the postings and everything else, they went, okay, hold on a minute. And Monday morning, they had, I guess, a little meeting or whatever, and decided that they weren't going to do it this week and put a couple of changes in. Like I said, I still have concerns. I don't know that I'm not making up my mind until I actually see the target and see what they're asking of us for the FM, because my chore time is already maxed out. So,
yeah, that's a valid point. I mean, everybody is waiting to see what the targets are going to look like. Okay, well, I know TS doesn't have anything, and sorry about your voice there. Hopefully we'll get it back next week. So thank you all very much. Appreciate you rocking up and sharing the time with us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.